Right, welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. So one of the things which I've been asked many times here on the channel is what's happening with Dredd? Okay, what's happening with Judge Dredd Mega-City One, the TV series by Rebellion, and obviously what's going on with it. Let's provide an update. Okay, now this has kind of spurred me on to give you an update from last I heard, and also just kind of give you the ins and outs and behind the scenes, I guess, on the series that's happening to date. And also the comments here by kind of Karl Urban and basically just everything surrounding it. So if anyone doesn't know, Dredd, great movie, 2012's Dredd 3D or whatever you want to call it, right? Because it was called Dredd 3D in some markets. Fantastic film, really good. Now it had multiple parties come together to kind of make that movie happen, and since then, Judge Dredd and sort of the Mega-City One universe, the rights, although they were always with Rebellion, they are now firmly with Rebellion. Rebellion are a games company, they're also a publishing company, and they also now have a producing company. They're Rebellion Studios. So they looked to make their own TV series, Judge Dredd Mega-City One. Now I myself have been up there and I've interviewed Jason Kingsley and Brian Jenkins. Brian Jenkins is no longer with the company anymore, although I personally keep in touch with him. Really good guy. And Jason Kingsley is still obviously the CEO and the owner of Rebellion, so he's still there, obviously. Now, across the years, because I think I interviewed them way back when might have been 2017, might have been 2018. I can't actually remember anymore. It was a long time ago. And ever since then, they said that they were going to push it into production and it was going to get started soon. There's been an awful lot that has happened in between all of that. Now, they did have a pilot script. They had a pilot script that was good to go. It was ready to go. And they did have a distribution partner, which was Mark Stern, who has worked at Sci-Fi, I believe. Now, unfortunately, what happened, what I can deduce anyway from looking at everything which has kind of happened and how they've backtracked on the pilot and said they had to do a new pilot and all of these things, there was a disagreement and they had to kick Mark Stern out. That's what I know. And that's kind of an educated guess by the looks of everything which has happened. Then off the back end of that, there would have probably been legal proceedings about who owned the rights to the pilot script. That's just common sense because, of course, Mark Stern, the website that Mark Stern has had Mega-City One up despite them not being partnered with Mark Stern, and then it was taken down briefly at a time and now it's gone for good. So there's probably been some legal proceedings happening there. Again, just kind of common sense looking at everything that's happened. And then off the back end of that, they then announced that they were making another pilot script, even though we knew that they already had one because they'd already announced that it had been completed. Now, currently, we then have this coming out, and then I'll update you on what I know, because I spoke with Jason Kingsley back in August of last year. It's not a recent update, and I'll tell you why and why I haven't gone about pursuing it any further, because the update is kind of self-explanatory. But then we have this update from Karl Urban. Now, Karl Urban has made no qualms about essentially saying that it's all on their hands. It's all to do with them. And whereas it is and it isn't, there has been a lot of concessions made for Karl Urban to come back to reprise the role of Judge Dredd. Bearing in mind, this series was never, ever going to be a sequel. Okay, it's something which a lot of people have misconstrued over the years. But I have an interview direct with Jason Kingsley and Brian Jenkins when they said categorically it would not be a sequel. But unfortunately, when I made that interview, I was a small, much tiny, I'm a small YouTuber anyway, but I was a much smaller YouTuber, and no one knew me. And then we all saw these articles because it's clickbait. All saw these articles saying, "Oh, a sequel is going to happen," and maybe it's going to be the series. It was never intended to be a sequel to Dredd, but whatever. So anyway, he has had he's given an update now. So it says, since the debut of Dredd back in 2012, fans have been clamouring to get star Karl Urban back under the helmet for a sequel, with the actor reiterating the comments he has made countless times about his interest in playing the character once again at this past weekend's C2E2. The character's future is uncertain, as no official sequel plans have taken shape, and reports about a TV series based on the property being developed have emerged, with Urban expressing his excitement and enthusiasm for the character, going so far as to admit he'd be happy to see the character return in any capacity, even if he isn't involved. Well, that's kind of just normal PR spin. But he said, and I quote, "Listen, I would love to make it. I'm on the record saying that a bunch of times. I don't know if that's going to happen. I think that the guys that own the rights to Dredd, Rebellion, I think they're developing something called Mega-City One, and it would just be great to see more Dredd, whether it's with me or not. It doesn't matter. I'm a fan of Dredd, and there's so many great stories there. I'd love to see them, and I have no doubt that someday someone will make it. It's just a matter of time." Okay, now, he knows full well that Rebellion are making the series. He's been approached about it many, many times with Rebellion directly. So he is lying here when he says that he thinks that they're making a TV series he doesn't know. Okay, that's a straight up lie. I can confirm that. Like, they have categorically spoken to him many, many times about the series. So it is a lie. But this is what actors do. They lie for a living. They play make-believe. And this is PR spin. And this is not in defense of Rebellion, because the fact that they've taken so goddamn long to get anywhere on this series is shocking. So I'm not defending them, because really it should be here by now, and I appreciate there's a lot of moving parts in place and things like that, but they've only just completed a pilot script. You know, to have to keep going backwards and forwards like this, it's just a little bit ridiculous now. It should be here. And I'm sure everyone watching this will completely agree with me. It's almost becoming a bit bittersweet to even talk about Judge Dredd now, because there was so much excitement and there was so much goodwill from everyone. It's kind of burnt out. I'm sure most people would agree with me. It's kind of burnt out now. People will still watch it and they'll still be very happy to see it, but the hype train has well and truly lost some momentum as a result of a lot of fucking about, quite frankly. So I'm not defending Rebellion. Okay, because I'm not, categorically, based on what I've just said. But Karl Urban does know about this series. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes. He knows that Rebellion are making this series. They've discussed it on a business level, trying to get him contracted to do it many times. And he's been a big old pain in the arse. Both of them have. They've just not been able to come to an agreement about anything, basically. It's been a case of, well, he needs to be in it more or not, and they want to do this storyline, he doesn't want to do it, and so on and so forth. And it's basically a situation of similar to, or what could become, Patrick Stewart with the likes of Star Trek Picard, where if they do get him on board, it'll be the actor dictating to them what storylines happens, and Picard is a result of why you do not do that. You don't do it, guys. Please don't do it. So anyway, you know, he's continued, and he said, you know, when asked by Screen Geek about whether or not he would ever return to the franchise, Garland confirmed, no, this is to do with the actual sequel directly. No, it was a pretty crude experience for a bunch of reasons, and at the end of it, I didn't want to go back. I love Dredd, by which I mean I love the character, but I'm not in any hurry to do that again. So that was with respect to Garland, who actually directed a lot of Dredd, although he is not on there as a name, but he did direct a lot of it. Now, continues and says further, a huge part of the success of Dredd is in fact due to Alex Garland, and what a lot of people don't realise is that Alex Garland actually directed the movie. This is from Karl Urban. Now, so what I can categorically, I'm just going to pull up my phone and my emails. So Jason Kingsley said to me back in August that no details on Mega-City One yet, I'm afraid. We're deep in negotiations to sort out kind of distributors, basically. Now, or partners, like producing partners and distributors. Basically, they're back at square one. And it's not a reveal of any stretch or anything like that, because we know that Mark Stern's dropped out. It's pretty clear cut that Mark Stern's dropped. So we are literally no closer to where we were when the initial announcement happened. So it's a whole lot of smoke and bluster, basically, and it's a real shame. This isn't the first time that a Judge Dredd series has been tried to push off the ground. You know, it's just not happening yet. And I would love this to happen. I'm a massive proponent of Dredd, the universe, the world. I absolutely love it. I can't get enough of it. But it's just not happening. And so I've been asked to do updates on this many, many times. And I would love to talk about it, but unfortunately, there's just nothing going on. When they announced that they bought the studio, or like a big kind of shooting space, I went up there, actually even before it was announced via Variety. I was the first person to see that space. And it's a beautiful space, it's massive, it is absolutely huge. You can even see elements of where the old printing press was going to be in there, because I think it was an old Guardian building off the top of my head. And it's a very, very nice building. Like, it's really, really, really good. But we're no closer to anything happening ever. And I don't know why. I just don't understand. It's been years in the works, and we're just no closer to getting it off the ground. And it's a shame, because this could be something really, really good, but as it stands at the moment, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I still think we're probably a good couple of years off, because as it stands now, they've taken, what? If it was 2017, you know, we're at nearly 3 years. If it was 2018, well, hey, look, you know, we're coming up to 2+ years, and we're no further forward. So when this does happen, if it does happen, it will happen fast. But I don't think anything's going to happen for a while. Now, I will probably reach out to Jason Kingsley again in a couple of months in summer and just see what's going on. But even then, you know, you're looking at about a year. I know that they are busy working on independent films at this point in time, so they are getting off the ground. But the TV series isn't happening anytime soon, and it's a shame. So anyway, love to hear your thoughts on all of this. Let me know down below in the comments. Dredd 2 as a movie isn't happening. As a series, it's not happening. It was never intended to happen. They may now change it. Who knows? Karl Urban lied here. He does know that Rebellion are doing the series. It's been well documented that he knows even outside of what I've just said. So anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know down below in the comments. If you're new here, do hit subscribe. Stay up to date on the world of pop culture and movie news by hitting the bell notification icon. Thanks so much. Take care.